floor is yours, except that you're not screen sharing.
Bez backupu, sobie bez backupu. Mamy są, mamy. Tak.
Okay. Okay, so I think we should start with SMS because, well, it will be mentioned in all the others, and it's really quite simple. So the name stands for Simple Notification Service, and as the name suggests, it's a service to provide notifications in form of push messages. And it can be used to send push notifications to different applications provided by Google, Apple, Amazon, Windows. Also, you can use it to send SMS or emails. You can use it to push notifications to SQS, to HTTP endpoints, or you can trigger the Lambda functions with it.
Regarding email notification,
yeah,
maybe you guys know, is it possible to have it, pre-printed somehow? Because when I hooked up my blog notification, I get just a raw JSON email.
There are actually two types. So there is JSON over email and there is normal email.
I selected normal one and I got email JSON-like thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe try that.
Maybe I missed something, but okay.
We can try that because, well,
maybe not now.
We can go with this as an example because it's pretty short. So I had an idea to just go through and make a pseudo lab about it. So the whole idea is focused about two things: topics and subscribers. So subscriber is just an endpoint. It can be if it is a SMS endpoint, so it's a phone number, it is an email address, it's a Lambda function, whatever. So anything that can receive a notification. And the topic is some kind of a channel or access point. So you can have multiple subscribers, so that subscribe to one particular topic. So the thing worth mentioning here is that you can have multiple endpoints subscribed to one topic, and those endpoints don't have to be of the same type. So you can have one topic that sends push notifications to emails, SMSs, HTTP endpoints, whatever you want. And once the message is published to the topic, it's delivered to all the subscribers in the appropriate format, so in form of email or in form of SMS. As it goes for the pricing, that depends of the subscriber type. So you have different pricing for SMS, for email, for HTTPS. So that's just a quick overview of that. I'm not sure if it's something you have to know by heart.
One thing regarding email. One thing that I noticed, I hope I'm right, that there is a limit for size of the email, and SMS notification itself. We can't send big emails to this service.
I haven't noticed that when I've been playing around with it. So I will just show you briefly how it looks like. So as I said, you can play with topics, and for example, I have one here specified, and it only has one subscriber, and it push notification to my email address, and you can actually trigger the message from the console. So for example, I would like to make a test email right now, and let's try the HTML markup if you say you received the JSON, right?
But maybe I pushed it wrongly. Thinking like because I'm creating it from Lambda. So
Okay.
let's
Yeah, that's my thought. That's my thought as well. Maybe the Lambda is returning JSON, and you are inserting JSON as a raw text.
maybe.
Okay, I'll publish this to my email address. And let's see if it gets there. Oh,
Okay. So I have something.
it's still a raw message. Maybe it requires the whole proper HTML markup with the body and head and all the stuff.
So I suppose that this is, if you would like to send the HTML messages, you cannot do this via SNS. You need to use the SES, so simple email service.
Maybe.
I suppose that plain text is the only option here, to not abuse the SNS for sending emails and email campaigns, for example.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so setting up this, it's pretty straightforward. You create a new topic, you provide the name and some brief description, and once you have it, you can go there and either link subscribers or create a new subscribers, and those subscribers, as I said, can be of different types. Emails, SMS, application, and Lambdas. Yeah, and that's pretty all about the SNS. If you don't have any questions, we can go.
I have one. How does it scale? For example, when you have scenario when you have two subscribers to SNS. Something was published, and you want to only one this message to be acknowledged or something like that. What I mean is that you have, for example, behind ELB two web servers, like in Bubble's case, and you want only one of them to receive this message. You don't want two of them to process it, but the SNS to send only one of them, and if it's not acknowledged by one, it will go to another.
I'm not sure it's a use case for this, because
It's the SQS.
yeah, it's something rather that should be done by SQS, because this is just a simple fire and forget. You just push the message and it's guaranteed to be delivered, but I'm not sure it's expected to have any confirmation or something like that, or the response.
Okay.
So that would be rather a SQS use case.
Okay, thanks.
Speaking of which, so the simple queue service, it's well, those are two.
Can I go back to SNS?
Yep.
The last question: is there any guarantee of delivering a message? It's like best effort, or they somehow guarantee that one of subscribers will be hit? Have you seen it somewhere? If you don't know, that's okay.
They claim they claim it will be delivered. You can probably specify the retries and something like that. Yeah, and it's stored across multiple availability zones, so the message cannot disappear without being delivered.
Is it at least one, or like, can I expect to receive notification twice? Can it happen?
So this one depends on the subscriber type.
Yeah.
Because, for example, if I recall correctly, there are some guarantees for Lambda, which are not projected into, for example, emails or mobile delivery. So I would say that it depends on the subscriber type.
Yeah, because you have completely different behaviors.
So I may end up with situation that I get email twice, right?
There's no such guarantee like in the SQS that it's at least once.
Okay. Thanks.
And how about the time that you receive the notification? Is it in some way specified, or?
But you mean the minimal or the maximal?
I think time to deliver, like push message and how fast it will react.
Well, I've been showing you the publishing. You could specify the time to leave for this message. So probably this also depends on the subscriber type, because for the HD email subscription you could specify that. I'm not sure if you could specify something like that for SMS. You can check that, but we'll have to switch to Ivan for this.
I'm asking because I saw some lag when I pushed the notification to the topic, and when I saw anything in the log for the Lambda, it was quite long time. But maybe it was just the lag on the log side.
Maybe, I'm not sure, but this probably depends on the subscriber type as well. Okay, any other questions? If not, we could go to the queue service. So it's a service that provides you message queuing and can decouple your applications. The Cloud Guru guy says that whenever there is a decoupling question in the exam, it probably will refer to the SQS somehow. So this is a simple queuing mechanism, so you can send messages with that are stored in the queue, and then they're asynchronously processed by some workers. The most important things are that those messages have to be in the text format. It cannot be anything else. There is a limit for the message size. By default, it's 256 kilobytes. And one new thing is that recently they have introduced the first in, first out queues because so far there were only standard queues that did not provide you guaranteed that messages will be delivered in order. And also the standard queues had at least once policy, so you were sure that message will be delivered at least once, but it also could be delivered multiple times and in different order that it has been sent. But since, I don't know since when, but recently in two regions they introduced FIFO queues, and these ones provide you with the ordering and guarantee that message will be delivered only once.
So before that, there was no guarantee on the order.
No, it was at least once and no guarantee for the order. You had to provide your own mechanism to make the ordering. So part ID or something like that.
But you can see there is a limited throughput.
Yeah, but the catch here is that the first in, first out queues have the limited throughput, 300 transactions per second.
I believe it's hard to achieve exactly once. When I tried it with Rabbit, I had similar per transaction rate.
So even so, it looks pretty good right now. And the cool thing that they finally introduced some such thing, and you don't have to do it on your own way. And probably this will propagate to.
As a
Yeah.
small side note, I read somewhere that actually people that are doing research in distributed systems are concerned how they implemented the multiple availability zones and replication, because it will be hard to have FIFO in multiple regions without violating CAP theorem, basically. So they're actually, because there are no details about the implementation, people are actually concerned how the FIFO works in case of failures or other stuff. So it may be like the Google Cloud Spanner database, because they are having full control of the environment and network. They are able to, let's call it, violate CAP theorem because they are in control of partition tolerance. But that's the speculation. We don't know anything about it.
Yeah, but very hard problem to solve.
But isn't it that if you won't have queues spread on 2 regions, don't you have to have actually 2 of them and pass messages between them?
So yeah, regions, yes, but availability zones.
Oh, okay, because you said the regions.
Yeah, maybe I misformed that. Yeah, so I meant availability zones, definitely. SQSQs are region specific. You are right.
Okay, so one probably important fact is that the messages can be in flight state, so it's a state when they're delivered to the they are received by the consumer, but not yet deleted from the queue because they are still being processed. And this is related to the limits of messages that can actually be in flight state in the queues. And the standard queues have much bigger limits, and the new first in first out queues have a slightly smaller limit. And funny thing that there's no error message if you exceed this limit in the first in first out queues. Maybe that's something that will come in the future, but right now there's no such thing. And also, old messages are automatically deleted after 4 days, and you can actually you can set up this for your own value and have some control over it. Also, cool things to mention are dead letter queues. These are the special queues. It's some kind of I don't know, dumpster or something like that. You can push the messages that cannot be processed for some reason into that queues and inspect them later. So the messages won't hang in the queues that are used by the consumers. You can have a delayed queue, so you can postpone the delivery of the message for the number of seconds you specify. As I said before, the messages are limited to 256 kilobytes, but if you have to process bigger ones, you can use S3 to support you with that. And but this is actually, this is of course price respectively. And as I said before, you can share queues between different regions, but well, it's actually, you can pass messages between queues in different regions. It's not that they are shared automatically. And of course, you can subscribe to SNS from different region as well. As for pricing, the thing that should be mentioned here is that they price you per request, but the request is not actually one message. The request is a chunk of 64 kilobytes. So even if you have one message that doesn't exceed 256 kilobytes, it's not one payload, it's actually 4 payloads. So as for pricing, you have to keep that in mind.
Sorry, so I didn't get that part. So you're paying for the transfer, or you're paying for, okay, so if the message,
You are paying for the request but the request by them is actually a chunk of 64 kilobytes.
So is it about that they are chunking the message between multiple requests, or they are batching multiple requests into a single request, or both?
Well, I believe it's some legacy stuff, and once it started, the messages could be only 64 kilobytes, and somehow this influenced this right now. So whatever you send, they chunk it into 64 kilobytes, and these chunks are built as a one request.
okay, so if I, for example, send like 178, so I will pay for 3 requests or like 2 requests, and if the third comes in, then the third will be built.
I'm not sure about that.
Come again with the numbers?
So 170 kilobytes. So it's like almost free, but not free, right?
No.
64.
You will have 3 times 4 requests because you are billed by 64K, each 64K.
Each system. So I will be billed for free requests or not?
You will be
I
billed
believe
for 3 times almost 4. Yeah.
Wait, for
No, why for?
wait,
Yeah.
170 kilobytes. So 3 times.
So 2 requests. Sorry for that.
Well, I believe it will be free, so you have it.
Why not 117 or 70?
70.
So
Yeah. So
I believe they split it in chunks of 64, whatever you have, and bill for every one of them. So whatever, if it's 20 or 63, you still pay for the whole chunk.
Okay. Cool. I reckon that could be a nice, neat question for the exam.
Yeah, but that's why I mentioned that. Just one more thing. Okay. There might be a question about main differences between SNS and SQS. So they are both used as messaging services, but the main key points here are that SNS is a push delivery and SQS is a pull delivery. So in SNS, you publish the message and it's being broadcasted to our subscribers, and in SQS, you put the message in the queue, and it had to be queued by the consumer and processed. And that would be all about SQS. So if you have any question, we can talk about that. If not, we can go to the CloudWatch. Okay, no objections here. So the CloudWatch, in brief description, is just a monitoring service for AWS. You can treat it like Datadog from from Amazon. It can be used to collect metrics, to collect and to aggregate, monitor log files, set alarms. It can be used to take some actions depending on the events related to the infrastructure. For example, if something happens with your EC2 instance, you can specify an event to do something about that. You can set an alarms, for example, when your bill exceeds some amount of money, or for example, if one of your instances exceeds CPU utilization higher than something, you can specify an alarm. Yeah, and as I said, react to some changes in your AWS resources. You can, for example, you can trigger an SNS, you can trigger a Lambda function, something like that. And the CloudWatch out of the box provides quite big set of metrics for EC2 instances, for DynamoDB, for RDS DB instances. But also you can specify your custom metrics and publish them there. And also you can install the log agent on your instances and send logs to the CloudWatch and then browse them, create some metrics, create some graphs about them.
So question, so if I have like my own box that is not from AWS, let's say running in our server room, can I like hook up and send metrics from my custom application, my custom box in the office to CloudWatch? Like, you know, is this like Datadog? Basically.
I'm not sure, actually. Well, you can use command line tools to send custom metrics, but I'm not sure if it's not.
The question is, does it have interface that allows access with secret access key instead of role? Because I believe the EC2 use a role or permissions to send.
I would bet this is possible because of the other facility called Storage Gateway. So you can install Storage Gateway on premises, and then it is able to report CloudWatch metrics. So I would bet that it is possible, but Pavel is right. I suppose that it requires a special user that will be deployed there. And then obviously the CloudWatch agent that is required to send metrics.
So, you know, my question is like, is this a service for just like gathering stats, you know, from any application, but it's particularly tailored for usage in AWS? Or this is only for monitoring things that are running in AWS?
They said, I would bet that it's possible to monitor on-premises instances as well, but you will be paid per metric and per, because it's pretty expensive service, the CloudWatch. So you will be paid for each send metrics as well as you have paying for AWS services. So yeah, it's possible, but it will be expensive.
Got it, thanks.
Yes.
According to Stack Overflow, it is possible.
It has to be possible because, for example, you've got the storage gateway, as I said, and you are installing the dedicated, for example, there's an image for, I don't know, VMware or something, and you are setting up the storage gateway from AWS on your premises in your data center. And then you are able to have CloudWatch metrics for that instance and for that storage gateway. So it has to be possible.
Sorry, what I'm I'm not asking but it's possible, can we hack around this, or like, is this like one of the, features that, they're like advertising, like, yeah, you can install like, CloudWatch agent and, send the metrics to CloudWatch from whatever your app is, wherever it's running, and we will provide you like graphs and retention and whatever to browse for these metrics. This is what I'm asking.
I don't know. I can answer actually.
Okay, that's cool. Let's find out later.
Yeah, well, I think that would be all. We can go through the console, but if we are running out of time, we can switch to Peter and next presentation.
Question for me, I would like to see like a dashboard. Because from my perspective, like what is the use case for like CloudWatch? Like why I don't go with the Datadog instead? What CloudWatch gives me?
So one thing is that you can go to the yeah, it just works out of the box. You can go to the list of your instances, for example, and then you just have the tab with the monitoring, and you already have the metrics here. But also you can go to the CloudWatch itself and then specify your custom dashboard. So once you have this dashboard, you can add widgets here, similar to Datadog. And when you select type, you can then specify which metric you're interested in. For example, I don't know, these grids or something, and you just add it here. You can do whatever you want with them. Also, you can go to the metrics and select some metrics you are interested in. For example, let's say you want to check what's happening with your disk, and
I can see that actually you have stats regarding credit usage. That's something that, for example, I don't think Datadog has out of the box.
you can plot multiple down under just clicking by them.
You can integrate Datadog with CloudWatch and export those metrics Datadog. This is okay.
T2
have your application integrated with Datadog, and you want some of the AWS metrics to be available as well. That's great.
Yeah, and also you can, as I said, specify alarm based on some metrics. If you have the CPU utilization.
Pretty cool.
So let's say you want to have.
And if S3 is down, it doesn't work as well.
Sorry?
If S3 is down, it doesn't work.
Probably. Yeah, the CPU
There's
is
something like I will stop watching when S3 was down.
let's say.
One more thing about the metrics and metrics type, which was covered in the exam, and actually has the consequence from one of the white papers. So they are asking what is available out of the box, which metrics are available out of the box. And probably Alec mentioned that memory is not available. So memory usage metric. Yeah, and that's
I haven't mentioned that actually.
Yeah, and that's actually a consequence of the security white paper. So as Amazon is not able to SSH, validate, check content of your instance because of the compliance with, for example, PCI and others. So they cannot access your memory, they cannot access your disks, physically, the data there. That's why they are not providing memory metric, memory usage metric in particular.
So only NSA can offer this kind of.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, only NSA can.
that's cool. I might draw a query.
Yeah, and you have to specify the custom metrics for memory. I haven't mentioned, but yeah.
Cool. Any other comments?
How do we gather custom logs? There is an agent. And does it have syslog integration, or how does it work?
The command line tools or the SDK.
Let's say I have like Erlang cluster log. How can I send it to CloudWatch?
Erlang cluster log, you have to install a log agent, and
Does it have?
it will just
Does it have to have in a specific format, or just upload line by line,
I'm
or
not sure.
or syslog format? Or?
Probably specify the format on the CloudWatch side if you want to just query them. I haven't played it. I'm not sure. That's it. Yeah, that will be all.
Are those agents already on the base AMI for Amazon Linux, or you have to install it?
I think you have to install them.
Log agents, right?
Log agents from their YAM repo, for example, depending on the instance type. But yeah, I think you have to install them. They are not installed by default, because that's probably being built extra if you copy the logs to the CloudWatch. Oh, and also one thing, if you go to the EC2 instance and you have this tab with the monitoring tab, by default it's not detailed monitoring, so it means that those metrics are gathered once per 5 minutes. And you have to enable detailed monitoring to have metrics gathered once per minute, but this will cost you extra.
Okay.
I've got one more question to maybe Alec found out. So we've got a lot of AWS Lambda logs on the CloudWatch, and do you know if that's a paid service or?
Actually, I haven't gone through the pricing details for the CloudWatch. So
Me neither. That's why I'm asking. But
I probably won't answer.
So it's
this.
not needed to be solutions architect.
no, this one, no, definitely.
But it might be for the architect, professional.
Or the ops, certified ops.
Yeah. Okay, guys, we're running out of time. We need to give Peter the floor. Peter, are you ready?
Yeah, ready.
Okay. So next presentation about Dynamo by Peter. Peter, floor is yours.
Sharing screen. Okay. Looks good. Okay, so what is DynamoDB? It is a managed NoSQL database from Amazon, meaning it's a document-based, so you are storing like structured JSON-like data in it, and it's fully managed, so they manage auto-scaling, availability, whatever you cannot SSH to the machines and things like that. It is stored on SSDs, so it's very fast. It is replicated in multiple availability zones. It is definitely replicated in 3 facilities, whatever that means, within one region. And there are 2 read consistency models it supports by default, eventual consistency, and you can opt for a strong consistency. So what are the core components? In your DB, you have tables, which are what they sound like. Within a table, you have to create a table, and yeah, but let's get to that later. In the table, there are items, which are basically rows or records or these documents, which is a group of attributes, really, with a unique identifier. There is no limit for the number of items, but I found somewhere but that one item can be maximum 400 kilobytes. And the attributes are these columns or fields, basically these JSON fields. It is schemaless, but you have to specify the keys upfront when you create the table. Not all items have to have the same attributes, so they are unlike columns in this sense. And you can have like, okay, what type of these attributes it can have scalar types like string, number, binary, boolean, or null when the attribute is missing from that particular item. There are list or map with, yeah, they don't have to be of the same type. So, and there is these sets which have to be the same type, like there is string set, number set, and binary set.
So set meaning, like, what is the difference between set and like a list? Does Dynamo like validates like what I'm putting?
Actually, I'm not sure if it validates, but the set is like unordered and the list is ordered. But I don't know where this is relevant, because actually you are just pushing a JSON document, and then of course DynamoDB, we will see later in queries, it understands the attributes, but I don't know where it would use like the order of the value.
Okay, but like the types are like the types of the values, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what is the type of like the value that I'm saving under a particular key, right? So it's not like that I'm saying that this table is a set, and for example.
No, it's not the table. It's the type of the attribute within each item. So basically, like the JSON value.
I see. Okay.
That makes sense. Probably. So when you create an item or create an item on the UI, then you have to specify the type of each field when you enter it. Probably there is some validation when you input it. But if you just use like CLI or whatever, you just push a JSON where you don't specify the type. Probably the type is inferred automatically in that case somehow. Yeah, probably. The other difference is the set is homogeneous, whereas the list can have different types.
I see.
And probably they are used during like more complicated queries, but I didn't go into detail how they look like.
Okay, so there are like queries as well. One more question, but I think you answered it partially. So I don't have to specify the type per table. I can specify type per key. Is that correct assumption?
Yes, exactly. So in the next point, we will see the key, or what is basically the ID, the unique ID of each item.
Got it.
So yeah, so the primary key is basically unique ID of each item. There are two types of these keys. When it consists of only one attribute, which is called the partition key, it is kind of like the internals leaking out a bit. So that is used to hash it. It is also called hash attribute. And then based on this key, it is put into one of the partitions, which is basically a physical location or storage. So that one attribute determines where the item will be stored physically, and it has to be unique within the whole table. And then there is another kind of primary key, like a composite, when you have a partition key and the sort key, and then in that case, The partition key again determines the partition of the item, but it does not have to be unique. It has to be unique together with another key, other attribute, which is called the sort key or range attribute. And in certain queries, you can use this sort key to, for example, you can like query all the items which have the same partition key but different sort keys, and then you get a list of items. And this partition or partition key looks like a bit like a bucket. So so the items with the same partition key but different sort key are stored in a same bucket, sorted based on the sort key. So in order. They are stored in order and then retrieved in order.
So do they like give any like performance SLAs that if you, for example, query by the sort key, you will get an answer quicker, or this is just to, I don't know, like give the ability to just do a query with?
Yeah. So there are basically three kind of queries, like a lookup when you have the whole key and you expect one item. You have something called query when you have the partition key and you might have some restriction on the sort key or nothing, and then that's fast. Or you have a scan where you basically like retrieve the whole table and then you can filter it later, which is obviously less performant. But I didn't see any guarantees like how long, but we can feel that if you have the key at least partially, then it's going to be fast, otherwise it's going to be slow and expensive.
Okay.
So yeah, an example for the second one, which the Cloud Guru guy said, is you have the partition key as a user ID and the sort key as the date of a post, and you have a table of like forum posts where of course the user ID is not unique, but the post together with the post date, it is unique. And then you can query all the messages from a particular user sorted by posting date.
That's good. I'm just wondering how they, solved it, like going back to Dynamo paper, like because like they're distributing, all these items across all these nodes. I'm just wondering if that somehow affects, but maybe that's just...
Yeah, well, this partitioning or hashing, it sounds familiar. So they are hashing all the keys to a consistent hash, something like that. I also know that if you have too many data in a table, then they create more partitions and then redistribute the keys somehow. So they take care of that scaling. Also, if you want more like request response capacity, they also like modify the partitions automatically.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about what are the trade-offs of using the sort keys, because for many databases this is like too many like secondary indices.
Yeah, there are also secondary indexes. This sounds a bit like coming from the like SQL word, because from somewhere from the key value word, that's already an extra or something. So maybe this is like a specific optimization or something like that for certain use cases. But yeah, it sounds a bit more specific than just like a generic key value store. Anyway, going next to the secondary indexes, so you can specify other than the primary key secondary indexes. There are two kinds. The local secondary index, which can, again, it is similar to this composite key, so that you have a partition key which is the same as the partition key of the table, so the same attribute, but you can have a different sort key. And then this can be specified only at table creation time, and then you cannot modify or delete it. So somehow, I guess it is shared with the primary index, so to say. And you can also specify global secondary index, where the partition key and the sort key are not shared with the that of the base table, and you can create it later and delete it and modify it as well. Yeah, there can be maximum 5 from both of these per table. Yeah, you have to. Yeah, you have to specify actually the types of the attributes that you use for secondary index and primary keys. You don't have to specify obviously all the other attributes, the types of all the other attributes. And from this, I guess that the key attributes must have a single type, so you cannot mix the, like in one item, I don't know, address is a number and the other it's a string. You cannot mix it if it's a key. And basically these secondary indexes, for me, it looks like a secondary table. So they also store where the key is the secondary index, and the content of the object by default is the primary key, but you can also set to copy other attributes as well. So basically you can have the whole object copied over as well if you want to. So yeah, when you query the secondary index, it looks to me that it queries a completely separate table or something like that. That's how I imagine.
I'm just like, this is very interesting from the this database architecture point of view, how they implement it. Maybe actually it's not good to dwell into this. But I have one question. Like when it comes to databases like based on Amazon, white paper, like RIAC and all of this, they introduce the concept of this like quorum and the parameters that you can specify to how many replicas of the document you want to have, and how many replicas needs to be needs to be fetched from the nodes for the document to be considered as right.
Right, but I didn't see here any such thing actually. So it looks like they just settled with something internal, like fixed, I don't know, 3 replicas, maybe 2. You need 2 reads to have consistent or something like that, but this is not exposed at all, and you are not in power to adjust this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably it's free, as Peter mentioned, it's free places that it's stored.
Yeah, it is stated that they are replicating to 3 location, physical or facilities.
Makes sense.
Okay, so here basic CRUD operations on the on each item or the items. There are like batch operations as well, and there are these queries and scans, which I will talk about soon. So what about the read consistency? So this is stated in the documentation that whenever a write returns with OK, then all copies of the data are updated. And then data will be eventually consistent across all storage locations. Then what this will means, I don't really understand. So from this sentence, it looks to me that if I read after a write, then I should get a consistent data, but apparently it is not exactly the case. So by default, it is eventually consistent. So it is written that about up to 1 second, all the data will be consistent, but there is not really a hard limit or guarantee. But you can opt for strong consistency per read operation. So you can set this consistent read option for the read operation to true, and then it will be a consistent read. So it will be guaranteed that the latest write across all replicas will be returned. And this might fail if it is not possible to guarantee because of some network issue. So this is the consistency that they can provide. Okay, there are some other facts from the Cloud Guru guide. So like two two options to avoid conflicts. There is first the atomic counter. So you can modify one attribute like increment or decrement, one numeric attribute in an object without interfering with other writes which are modifying other attributes. So you don't have to like read it and write it. You can like automatically increment or decrement the counter. And the other thing is this conditional write. So you can, this is the same operation, same update item operation. Yeah, I forgot to mention that in update item, you can specify, so you don't just push a whole JSON document, you can specify which attributes you are adding, which attribute you modify, and which attribute you delete, so like a diff. Probably that is what makes it possible to have these atomic counters and like partially modifying an object. And there is this conditional write version of this update item where you can specify like an if-then condition. So like if price equals $10, then let the price attribute be $15. And of course, this can only succeed once, because if two writes want to increment that attribute, only the first one will find it to be the old value. Like the model here is like two clients read the item, and then they write with condition, and only one will succeed. So this is idempotent. So this is like example good for bank account updating, whereas atomic counter is not idempotent. If you increment it 2 times, it will be incremented 2 times. That could be like a test question. And the other thing is a batch operation. So there is batch get item to get up to 100 items at once, up to 1 megabyte of data. And it is possible to get them from multiple tables. And there is also batch write item where you can write maximum 25 items. You can, in one table, you can delete them from one or more multiple tables. And the advantage is basically the round trip. So so I guess it is not implemented in any special way on the server side. It's just that you don't have to send 100 requests. Okay, and here comes the like comparison between query and scan, which we already touched a bit. So the query operation, you have to specify a partition attribute name value, that's for sure. And then optionally, you can specify a sort key attribute as well. Optional, yeah, with some conditions like date greater than something or similar. So you can narrow down the range. And this will return a sort, like a list of items sorted by the sort key. And you can do this for the primary key and secondary key as well. Of course, this is fast, because they are indexes. And then you can change the ordering by this scan index forward the attribute of the query to be ascending or descending based on the sort key. The scan, it basically runs through the whole table and returns all the items, or optionally you can filter. I guess like probably you can have like very complicated filters where you can use all the types. But beware that this actually reads all the items and it uses all the read units, which we'll get back later. So basically it uses a lot of capacity and a lot of money, so to say. And it's, of course, it is slower, much slower than query. So it is advised to design your database so that you can use queries most of the time. And in both cases, you can use, like by default, they return the complete item, like the whole JSON, but with this projection expression, you can filter to return just a few attributes if you want to. Okay, then there is this new thing, DynamoDB streams, where basically each operate. Yeah, sorry?
One question. My question is, like, when it comes to query and scan, and what are like type of returns? Like, are we always returning the list of documents that are, for example, fulfilling any criteria, or it can aggregate or do like SQL stuff? Like,
No, I think it returns a list of items or documents, so to say. And then the content of document can be the whole document or just a few attributes, but that's it. It cannot like do further computation on them, like a reduce or whatever.
okay, what are the type of criteria that you can use in the query on or scan, like greater at, the range, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I've just seen like simple conditions, like like great comparison ones.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay, so the streams, so basically they are events triggered by adding, updating, and deleting entries